Hi, welcome to the new feature series. As a part of this series, we will look at some of the new features which are coming in the cloud world. It can be Microsoft Azure or AWS. I am only focusing on these two cloud technologies. Why? Because these two are the most popular cloud platforms. I would not focus on IBM Cloud or Google Cloud because the market share that AWS and Azure takes is very high. Let's look at Elastic Disaster Recovery. Now, what is disaster recovery? Imagine you have your on-premises production boxes. These are your on-premises data center or boxes, and this is your AWS Cloud Disaster Recovery platform. Why we need disaster recovery is because if this goes down, then uh, you can route your users to this, and once this is up, you can route your users back in here. So if you want to do this, there has to be constant replication happening from here to here. Imagine there is a database, for example, Oracle, SQL Server, or any database. You want to make sure if production goes down, this database and the data should be accessible in DR. So what will you do is you will create this database in DR and start replicating the data. Whenever you replicate the data, you will be hit with a performance issue because every time, suppose this is an Amazon.com database, every 5 minutes, suppose there are 1 lakh transactions happening or 100,000 transactions happening. Now you have to replicate after every 5 minutes this 100,000 transactions to this database, and that is where when you try to replicate such high volumes, uh, your replication is also a new process, so it can slow down this database and it can give an impact to Amazon.com users. They will find the website a bit slower. It can happen. So if you try to do it manually, you will find performance issues. But to solve your problem, AWS gives you elastic disaster recovery. You don't have to worry about so many performance issues and blah blah blah. It takes care itself. So this tool will help you with recovery as well as failback. You all have heard about the term failover. Here we are talking about the term failback. So what is the difference? This is key. What is the difference? We have to understand that. If a disaster strikes, this goes out, then if you will route the users to disaster recovery. This is failover. This is failover. That means you are moving from production to disaster recovery. You are pointing all the applications access of the users from production. You are pointing it to disaster recovery. You are doing failover. When production is up now, then you will repoint the users to production from disaster recovery. So you see this green arrow, you are moving it back to production. Since you are moving it back, you call it failback. This green arrow is failback. I hope the difference is clear now. Now, if you use Elastic Disaster Recovery, that is EDR, this performance issue you will not face, taken care automatically. You will not even come to know what's happening in the background. Another advantage is that this is cheap. If you try to create your own disaster recovery data center, so you will have to do a upfront investment. So the solution becomes costly because it's similar to buying a car versus renting it out through Hertz. Now you might say Hertz will be expensive if I am driving the car every day of the year. Yes, but disaster doesn't strike every day. So if you are driving the car once a week, then Hertz will be cheaper than buying a car. The same concept applies here as well. So you have an option of point in time recovery. So whenever disaster strikes and you want to recover from a particular point, or you want to go back 30 minutes or 1 hour or 5 hours, you can do that. It is because this cloud version stores the replicated data at different point in times. So it uses the Cloud Endure DR services. That is the background technology, or it is the backbone. Now suppose this guy here, he tries to access both production and DR servers, okay? And he was not supposed to. He was not supposed to access the DR. He only has access to production, but he still could hack and get into the DR servers. Now you want to know who logged in, what happened. You want to basically audit the system. So you can use CloudTrail. It integrates very well with CloudTrail. Now, when you have so many servers and data centers and etc., so you would definitely want to know the health. You would want to know the operational health of the system. In order to know that, AWS provides you a tool called CloudWatch. Now, what does CloudWatch do for you? It gives you a unified view of the operational health of the applications, and it helps you with monitoring your applications. And needless to say, any AWS services, it is integrated with IAM. Here also with on-prem also you can integrate with IAM, so that the the users who can access both the systems, you can define it here, and it will be audited and controlled through IAM. The audit will happen through uh, CloudTrail. Now this source servers, no, you can keep increasing it. So like this, I have made 3 source servers. You can increase it, you can decrease it, and with very less changes to the Elastic Disaster Recovery tool. So there is no upfront charges. It is built per hour, so it comes cheap. Now please put your thinking hats on. I have a question for you. Suppose I have EC2 instances on AWS cloud platform in London. So these EC2 instances are in a data center in London region. Okay, obviously, first question: if you want to create a disaster recovery system, in which region would you create it? Disaster recovery, you should always create in a different region. So in this case, you have this as prod. Prod is in London, and you have DR in Ohio. So if London data center, suppose some network connectivity issue happens and this region itself is down, so no problem, your users, you can point it to the EC2 instances in US Ohio. This is your DR system, and everything will be up and running. Or even if you don't want to point it to this location, uh, you are worried that is my data safe or not. So your data is safe here. Your production, whenever the network comes up, and that is a time when even if there is a fire and the data center collapses, you can create a new set of data center and replicate the data back. You can do a failback. So failback is like, suppose there is a fire in this production system, and now the fire has been resolved. All your servers didn't get damaged. Say 10% of the servers are damaged, so that data is not lost. You buy new servers, put it there, and now you do a failback from DR to production. From DR to production. Failback is from DR to production. Now there is already a product called Cloud Endure, which is used for disaster recovery. Okay, and now we are talking about Elastic Disaster Recovery. This is a new product. So which product to use when? That's a $1 million question. Now this product is not available in a lot of regions. It is only available in these regions. So for example, if you are starting fresh and you want to build a data recovery system like this, then and you are in one of those regions, then go ahead with this product. This product would be very useful, and you don't have to switch to a different product at least in the next 2 years, because this is a new product. But if you are not on any of these regions and you are already using Cloud Endure, continue using it. Contact your technical support to understand what is the best time to move. Please remember, AWS, whenever they launch a new product, they always want you to follow that, because slowly the old product like Cloud Endure might be sunset. But this product already has Cloud Endure as its backbone. It's the same technology but different service. Now this data center, you see this can be like on-premise data center, can be anything from this list, the ones marked in green. It can be a physical infrastructure like we are showing in the diagram, this data center. It can be a VMware, it can be Hyper-V, or it can be a cloud infrastructure. Interesting. So in this diagram, we have shown this as on-prem. This can also be cloud infrastructure. It can be AWS itself. Like in this example, we showed EC2 instances are in one region of AWS, and we are doing a disaster system in another region of AWS in Ohio. Now you go to a shop, you want to buy, suppose, this shoe. The first thing you want to do is check the price tag. At the end of the day, everything comes to price. Suppose you have this data center, is a personal data center for a client. It is not on cloud, so it's on premises, and you want your DR to be on cloud. So right hand side, this stuff is Amazon cloud. Left hand side is production, right hand side is your DR system. On cloud, left hand side is on-prem, and this on cloud can be in the same region or a different region. Now suppose on-prem you have your EC2 instance, and this is a production box, and now you have to set up a disaster recovery. So the first thumb rule we do is we choose a different region. So if you have your production in this region, your DR can be altogether in a different region here, so that if any geopolitical stuff happens or disaster strikes because of network issues, network goes down, or there is a terrorist attack or some sort of natural calamity, this shuts, then at least this will be available, your data will not be lost. So in this scenario, we will have the same EC2 here as well. So this EC2 is orange because it is on AWS, but here one correction, when I meant EC2 earlier, this is an instance, any server or computer instance. Now, what are the costs involved with using EDR? So the first cost that you will have is for replication. You will replicate whatever is here to your DR box or the DR instances. So the replication costs are per server per hour. So if you have one instance to be replicated, so you'll have replication cost for one server. But if you have more servers, two servers in this case, you will have to pay twice. That is once for each server. And how much do you pay? You pay 0.028 cents per server per hour for replication. I think this is a very good price, a best price. The next thing that you have to do is pay for the EC2 instance cost. So in this case, you have two EC2 instances, so you will pay for two instances, two EC2 instance cost. Now we all know that EC2 instances have EBS. It is the elastic block store which stores the data for each EC2 instance. Hence, you got to pay for the EBS cost as well. Now you have an EBS volume cost and a snapshot cost. There are two costs for EBS. So the volumes are basically for each server, it creates a space for replication, that's staging, and snapshot is the size of the disk. I hope you liked this part of the new feature series. I'll come up with some more features in my subsequent videos. Please subscribe to my channel if you have not done that yet. Please give me a thumbs up if you like this part. Understanding the new features is very important to clear the certifications, because these new features will become a part of your certification questions. See you in the next part.